In the land of the happy Collies, we do our business without any machinery, tractors and other farm mechanization. I have never made friendship with motors, and on a daily basis I am able only drive a wheelbarrow. So I don't really understand why I thought of making a ride-on for my collie, Hosento. It all started with taking pictures. I decided to make a sort of tractor, or at least something similar, out of some scraps I found in the barn, for a fun photo shoot, where Hosento would sit herding sheep in the meadow. A clever farm collie must also drive a tractor, right? When the red vehicle was finished, the idea came to me to turn the picture into the Farm Collie Adventure series episode, Tractor. Cactus the Hedgehog was also involved, with his mini vehicle riding it in the garden, while Planpack the goat watched the two tractors, and also wanted to make his own vehicle, powered by a printer motor with a single 9V battery. I have to say that the first tractor hasn't been driven yet. Hosento just sat in it, but the main sight of a collie, a goat and a hedgehog gathered together at the stop sign, Land of the Happy Collies, was a good one. Until then I had not yet discovered Hosento's passion of driving, and the first tractor was built for static use only. When he was a puppy, the opposite was true. Hosento was afraid of cars. When little Hosento was picked up and approached a car, he was very frightened and unhappy. He was afraid that he would be taken away again. I will not tell you the sad beginning of the puppy's life at this time, but it is described in the documentary, Just Hosento. Hosento's driving skills was discovered quite by accident. One winter day, I had put a hay bale on the sled to take to the sheep, but Hosento jumped on it and sat down. I carefully took the rope in my hands and tried to pull the sledge. Hosento sat very still and I could see that he didn't mind being taken for a ride. I tried it for several more days and I couldn't help but be happy that everything was going well. There was even a reckless idea: a sledge could be taught to be pulled by the big goat, Olympus. Eva and I tried to work with Olympus for a bit, but it soon became clear that he was not the kind of goat who would volunteer to pull the sled alone when a dog was sitting in it. I was afraid of the opposite, that the goat would get mad and run amok, Hosento would fall off the sled and he would develop an aversion to such trips. Winter was coming to an end, and I decided that I should try to take Hosento for a spin in a wheeled ride. We bought 4 medium-sized garden trolley wheels and I made a small cart. Hosento was immediately there and jumped in without being asked. I gave him a ride and it was clear that he would be happy to go. Here, for the record, I must add that Hosento likes to climb up on everything, on tables and benches, jump into wheelbarrows and sit, of course, also on hay rolls and even on the roofs of cars. Having noticed that I like it very much, and being a smart dog, he tries to surprise me to this day by inventing surfaces to climb up and sit on. Especially if I have a camera or a video camera in my hands. There are also interactive games to play with on the roof of the car. It is hard to remember all the ways and means we have used over 14 years to bring home hay from the far meadows we rented from a neighbor. We have driven both the red car and the blue one, with big bags on the roof and in the cabin, and with a crate in the back on which the hay is stacked. When the red bus brought the hay home in a trailer, Hosento immediately jumped in and sat proudly, while sheep and goats gathered around the trailer for dinner. I decided to make a series called Haystack on Wheels. I wanted to film the scenes of Hosento sitting in a moving trailer. Although it looks very simple from the outside, Hosento had to play the role of a stunt dog. He rode in the trailer while lying on hay, and it was his first time doing so. I was worried whether Hosento would jump out of the moving vehicle and hurt himself, but he handled the stressful situation well. Eva drove the bus and drove it slowly, while I filmed the passing trailer with Hosento from the side. Later I sat in the back of the bus and filmed the trailer with the rider already from this angle. According to the script, the bus was driven by Losange. Shortly before the trip in the trailer, I had already built an electric tractor for Hosento. I decided to express myself very creative and equip it with lots of different lights, an orange beacon on top and 4 colors of strobes, yellow, blue, red and green. The lamps in front are from a BMW and a gas, the turn indicators are from an old Honda. 2 deep discharge batteries were bought to power the children's quad bikes. Vehicle from episode, the Tractor 3, Electric Power, was then the first tractor that Hosento drove around the land of happy Collies. During the test drive, I was pleased to find out that the Hosento felt in tractor very cozy. Must to mention that, the creation, towing and filming of the various rides is described in great detail in many articles on the Collies website in its studio section. Just to add briefly, I have stopped building the radio-controlled vehicles for filming purposes and, starting with the series on the electric tractor, all vehicles were towed using electric shepherd's wire. We had already built a small radio-controlled tractor for the series, Tractor 2, Radio Control, in which Losans, lying on the sofa in front of the barn, uses the remote control to drive a very small tractor that does various jobs on the farm, even fetching firewood from the forest and picking mushrooms. The motors used were not powerful enough and they had to be pulled by ourselves, and such small tractor could not be steered by the dog. Unfortunately, the electric tractor motor was also too heavy for the gear motor found in the shed. Moreover, I learnt the valuable lesson that it is not worth spending weeks building radio-controlled and complex vehicles to use them for 1 hour of filming. Moreover, it wasn't possible to do it just with the rattles we found in the barn, we had to buy additional, special parts and items. Most importantly, you had to pull the rope or wire in such a way that the string would not be visible. But we'll come back to radio control later. The trolley I had made for Hosento in the spring was slightly modified and now the electric tractor also had a trailer in which Hosento could bring milk cans or drive Herta, the sheep he had bred himself. On the farm you have to work. It's all here in our series, Tractor 4, Trailer. When I saw an old picture on the internet of a German Shepherd being used to pull a milk cart, I became interested in the vintage milk delivery. There used to be horse-drawn milk carts, but in the USA the milkman was very popular, delivering fresh milk to customers' homes every morning and leaving the bottles on the porch. Then he would pick up the empty container, get in his special ride and go on his way. Goats also were used to pull milk carts. This subject was very interesting and appropriate for the land of the happy Collies. I decided that Hosento could start building another tractor once he had seen the old picture stick to the barn wall. This was the beginning of the story of the series, Tractor 5, Milk Delivery. If the tractor is built specifically to transport milk, perhaps milk can be used as fuel instead of petrol. Once the milk was poured and the close-ups of Hosento sitting on the tractor, putting his paw on the lever to start the truck, it was a matter of figuring out where and to whom the milk would be delivered. The old milk carriers took their produce from the farm to the villages or nearby towns, but we didn't plan to go outside the land of the happy Collies. The tractor will be used to deliver the milk to the farm's residents, who will enjoy it. Morning milk consumption is quite frequent starter of the day on our farm. After the milk cans were emptied and everyone was fed with milk, Hosento decided to take his new friend, Doro the goat, for a ride. Perhaps boredom is what opens the way to new ideas. While Hosento and Casey were next to machine washing their clothes, they got bored. The monotonous hum of the washing machine motors made the hardworking dog fall asleep. Hosento slept well and after that even got tangled up in his launder trousers, looking for something to do. First he played with rubber ducks, then with toy cars and figures from the Hosento farm props, and Hosento developed the idea to dismantle the washing machine after it had finished washing his clothes, to build himself a soapbox car, out of its various parts and other junk and pieces, in which he could sit and drive himself. It should be clarified that none of the washing machines, Riga, were harmed during the filming of the series, Big Laundry Day 11, Soapbox Car. All parts were taken from the useless bits and pieces. To celebrate the 7th anniversary of our Collie cinema studio, here is a picture of our Collies with all their rides together. Casey was in the electric tractor, Losinch was in the 6-wheel tractor with the unique milk-powered engine, and Hosento, who owns all the rides, was in his soapbox car. When Hosento built his new mower for the Hosento's Lawn Mower series, it was clear that Azimuth, the little goat, was eating too slowly and would not be able to prepare the hay for winter this way, so the hardworking farm collie decided to make a special combine harvester that could not only cut grass, but also preserve it in empty tin cans. For some reason, this summer I remembered the TV program A Minute is Precious from my Soviet-era childhood. It was about the drivers of the field ships, harvesters, or the commoneers, hard-working employees of the day, and the best district commoneers were rewarded with pennants. The brass players' orchestra played march and everyone smiled into their bushy harvesters' mustaches. Now the mustachioed harvesters have been replaced in Veriba by the tailed harvester. He has mustaches too, of course. I needed a ride that could also do something, not just roll forward and carry milk cans or Doro the goat. We needed to build a multi-purpose machine that could do several things. We had to prepare hay for the winter, harvest cucumbers and pick pineapples at Dolly Park, but it is too complicated to cram all these functions into one machine, we will have to make 3. I had already gone over the design of the harvester countless times in my mind, waking up even at night and tormented by insomnia, wondering how to make such and such mechanisms. I decided that all the harvesters should use the same chassis so that they could be easily rebuilt for each successive job and would take the least time. The first harvester we built is powered by an old sewing machine, parts from a manual lawnmower and a specially made mechanism for throwing the cans away when full of hay. Once the hay was preserved, the harvester had to be rebuilt for cucumber harvesting. The poor toad in the garden, picking and rolling the cucumbers one by one, was getting tired and pimply, and the helpful Hosento decided to come to provide help. The best way to collect cucumbers is to suck them into an old vacuum cleaner, but the machine in the Harvester 2, Suction of Cucumbers series not only harvests them, but turns them into neat canned cucumbers. They can be used in winter for a festive salad. A large watermelon had also grown in the garden, but it was impossible to get it inside the vacuum cleaner. The bananas didn't grow well in the birch trees this year, but the pineapples in Dolly Park grew big, so we had to rebuild the ride again for the series, Harvester 3, Pineapples. Everything on the top was removed from the tried and tested chassis and replaced with what was needed for the pineapple lifting crane. Hosento was now ready to get to work on the toughest job of the summer. A very complex and sequential filming followed to lift and frame the pineapple into the wooden box. An old bicycle wheel and a much-used car window wiper motor came in handy. After winning the Best Harvester title, Hosento decided to go for a joyride in an old Suitcase with a trimmer motor and small bed wheels. Why it occurred to me to put Hosento in a Suitcase, I cannot answer now. Perhaps the ride in the old Suitcase is a parody I have unconsciously made, this time of Hosento himself driving everything with wheels underneath. Hosento really doesn't care what he drives, but when the sheep saw a dog in a suitcase coming across the meadow during the filming of Shepherd's Suitcase, they were really shocked. The sheep ran away, but I was delighted to have such a precious and unanticipated sight. Once Hosento had left and the herd had calmed down, he simply took a nap in his suitcase. Convenient stuff. Both Hosento and some of the other animals in the land of the happy Collies have a special relationship with garden wheelbarrows. They climb into them to sit or lie down, and even to eat or protect those who eat cabbages in the wheelbarrows. Hosento is always ready to sit in a wheelbarrow, in winter and summer, in a meadow or even in a pond, in one or even several wheelbarrows at once. I had accumulated so much footage of wheelbarrows that I decided to finally use it. So this spring I was determined to finally realize the idea I had been fooling around with for so long, and for this purpose 2 wheelbarrows, various lamps, speedometers and voltmeters, horns and bicycle bells were purchased. The Wheelbarrow trilogy began with a misty spring morning. The fog was thick. I went to do my daily chore of raking the hay around the bales and stacking it for the horses, who were waiting for their breakfast in the next paddock. Hosento and Donna had come with me. I usually deliver the raked hay to the horses with a wheelbarrow, but this time, while I was waving the rake, the dogs started to frolic at the bales and Hosento jumped into the wheelbarrow. Donna circled around and tried to join Hosento. Later, Hosento and Donna, finding it cumbersome to carry the hay with a wheelbarrow, decided to build new rides that could carry out various tasks on the farm independently. When the new vehicle was ready for use on the farm, Hosento could sleep on his favorite bench at the end of the barn and watch the wheelbarrows move. The bags and cans drove themselves in the right directions. But how long will you sleep on the bench? When all the chores are done, the smart wheelbarrows can drive the dogs. Both Hosento and Donna went on a big farm trip and once again the sheep and goats had something to wonder about. This summer is full of surprises. As usual, it was no problem to take Hosento out in a wheelbarrow. I had secretly hoped that Donna, who tries to imitate the leader Hosento in everything she does every day, would also turn out to be another farm rider, but Donna's wheelbarrow ride was filmed over several days, as it was clear that she was not attracted to this activity. When the 2 Collies had had enough, Hosento also took his goat Doro, with whom he had once ridden together in a tractor, for a ride in the wheelbarrow. This time they are both riding in this train. This summer I also built a wooden truck with a cab for Hosento. This truck was originally just for a nice autumn photo shoot, but later I decided that Hosento could drive it too. He will be able to drive the autumn leaves. I put a tin tub with leaves in front of the cab and Donna had to ride in it. But nothing came of it, Donna didn't like sitting in the tub, and as soon as the car started moving, Donna jumped out. Hosento had to go alone. You can see both the wooden car and the Kolliju with sidecar in the series Hey Barnes Dogs 14 fall paintings. No one was riding the three-wheeled Kolliju, it was filmed statically. I have no doubt that Hosento could have driven it too, but I wanted to put Casey in the sidecar, as she would not be persuaded to drive any vehicle. Static Summer also included a view of Hosento off in a meadow with sheep on his bicycle. He has a great sense of balance. You can also ride in winter. Watching a bunch of colorful Riga washing machines entertain themselves with cross-country skiing competitions in their spare time, Hosento wanted to harness one of them to a sled. But go catch those motorized cans gliding so fast. Hosento chose a white and slower washing machine, but first it had to be harnessed. Once that's done, all you have to do is hook up the same old sled to the washing machine and go for a ride. The carrot-rushing ride proves too slow, however, so Hosento decides to build a high-speed snow machine with a fan in the hayloft, while Olympus the goat, unnoticed by anyone, robs the harnessed washing machine and eats the carrot. The new snow machine makes driving much faster. They are a real go-kart and Hosento is a real sled dog. No, let others pull the sledge. He will just drive. Filming the series Sled Dog was quite difficult because there was a lot of snow, which made it very difficult to pull. Hosento sat and rode, occasionally eating treats, while I was snowed in and had a wet back, but I was very happy with the result. Hosento's driving has become a special trademark of the land of the happy Collies, and there is no one like him in the world. I made sure of that by repeatedly digging around the internet and looking for other dogs who drive around farms in all kinds of specially made vehicles. There are no such dogs, but I have even created a whole section on the Collie portal called Driving, which is a collection of everything that is relevant to this topic. Watch the incredible adventures of the farm Collies.